Hello everyone, once again it's that time where I ask you to put down your midget husbandry manuals and pay close attention to the screen. On the evening of July 9th, 1941, 3 German Junkers JU88A took off from Schiphol Airport in the occupied Netherlands. None of them were to return. Welcome to Curious Aviation Tales. On the surface, the task of the Junkers flight crews appears quite mundane. They were to patrol the North Sea close to the British coast, intercepting and torpedoing any British shipping they encountered. While the mission concept was quite simple, the execution phase for the crews involved would have been daunting, if not a little exhilarating. After having a multitude of new arseholes torn into them during the Battle of Britain, the Germans soon realised something was up. They realised that while most of the aircraft that entered British airspace were detected and intercepted, there were some exceptions. Most of the aircraft that went undetected and therefore unintercepted were mine-laying aircraft operating at low levels in coastal waters and estuaries. The German High Command reached the correct conclusion that altitude and detection rates were directly related. As a result of this, anti-shipping patrols operating near the British coast had to fly below 150 metres in altitude. Up to this point in the war, British radar was in a class of its own, while German radar was in a class down the hall, licking the windows and sticking crayons up its arse. While radar was a bit of a mystery, the Germans weren't totally in the realm of sports questions. One area the Germans had pumped a lot of Reichsmarks and research into was radio navigation. This research paid off when the Germans developed large narrow-beam antennas which they dotted all along the coast of northern Europe. This had huge implications for night and all-weather operations, because now not only could an aircraft plot its course to and from its home airfield, but with a second radio receiver tuned to a different station, it could plot any given point on a map. The importance of this development cannot be understated, as it did for air navigation what accurate timepieces did for sea navigation centuries before. To put it in simple terms, it gave crews the ability to fly blind towards a target, bomb a target where 2 beams intersected, and return without any visual cues. This development, known as Knickebein or crooked leg after the shape of the antennas, became a real headache for the British. This all rather neatly brings us back to the fate of our 3 Junkers. At 10 minutes to midnight on the 9th, apparently inexplicably, the first JU88 crashed into the ground at Speeton near Bridlington in Yorkshire. All 4 crew members were killed, and it's doubtful they even saw the ground before it was too late. Less than 20 minutes later, a second JU88 crashed into the top of a cliff at Cliff Farm, Brackenbury Wick, which is also in Yorkshire. As with the earlier crash, all 4 crew members were killed. While we follow the 3rd Junkers crew, let's contemplate the mystery like a stoner, his dog and 2 lesbians in a van. Now before you reach for your tinfoil hat, please know I can already read your mind, and if you think it was UFOs, the Illuminati or the Elders of Zion, you're a fucking moron. The answer to the mystery is much more down to earth, but nonetheless clever and inventive. The increases in frequency and accuracy of German night raids hadn't gone unnoticed. Neither had the appearance of a plethora of radio beams. Initially it was thought they were just homing beacons for airfields, however pretty soon the true purpose was uncovered. If the radio beams from the crooked antennas were causing a major headache, in no time at all Britain had found the cure, which was codenamed Aspirin. The British knew that these beams were turned on well in advance of the arrival of the bombers, so they hatched a cunning plan. In anticipation of a raid, aircraft would be flown with special receivers tuned in to pick up the German dot signals. As soon as the signal was detected, it was reported back to a ground station, which would duplicate the signal and thus pull the bomber off course. The British became so adept at the practice, which is now called meaconing, that many German crews were unable to tell the correct signal from the false one. This led to targets being missed, aircraft crashing and getting lost, and in some cases hilariously German aircraft landing at British airfields thinking they were back in France or Holland. The 3rd crew in our story had a little more luck than their fallen comrades. They crash-landed in a field in Speeton and survived the landing with only minor injuries. They torched the aircraft as was standard procedure and were arrested as they attempted to escape down a cliff with a dinghy. They sat out the rest of the war in Blighty. I hope you enjoyed this one. The next one is a couple of really good stories provided to me by a long-time subscriber. Until then, I thank you very much for watching. Please don't forget to dislike or tell me to go fuck myself below.